Welcome to Motivation at Hand, Ma. To know is to know how. Part 2, When Am I? In Sands of Time, a dynasty's might. Pharaohs ruled with regal light. Pyramids rose, monuments grand. A legacy across the land. From strife to peace, they found a way. They found the golden way. Hetepskamwe's guiding sway. Kings of old, their power shone. In sacred tombs, their spirits flown. Giza's pyramids, stars aligned. A marvel to all humankind. Through art and trade, their glory shone. A golden age, forever known. Timeless shadows must turn, the kingdom's end. Decay and famine, woes did time send. Yet in the sands, preserved, their cosmology do cling. The echoes of an ancient pharaohs. The Second Dynasty circa 2775 circa 2650 BCE. Around 3200 BCE, a pivotal era in early history, several remarkable developments emerged across different regions. Sumerian cuneiform writing system and Egyptian hieroglyphs came into use, revolutionizing written communication. The Cycladic culture thrived in Greece, while the Caral soup civilization began to take shape in Peru, exhibiting their cultural prowess. Egypt saw the rise of its first dynasty, marking the beginning of a long and influential pharaonic tradition. Around 3100 BCE, Scotland witnessed the construction of Skara Brae, a remarkable Neolithic settlement highlighting the early ingenuity of its inhabitants. Around circa 3000 BCE, the awe-inspiring Stonehenge project commenced, standing as a symbol of ancient engineering and cultural significance. These events demonstrate the richness and diversity of human civilizations during this remarkable period. Meanwhile, in Iran, the Proto-Elamite civilization experienced a rise in prominence, showcasing the sophistication of their society. Notably, in 3150 BCE, followed the end of the First Dynasty, during which evidence of rival claimants to the throne emerged. It is believed that one line became the Second Dynasty, with its first king, Hetepskamwe, whose Horus name means peaceful in respect of the two powers. This name may allude to the resolution of strife between factions in the country or to the antagonistic gods Horus and Seth, or both. Hetepskamwe and his successor, Renab, relocated their burial places to Saqqara, while the tomb of the third king, Menetja, has not been discovered. The latter part of the dynasty saw conflicts between rival lines of kings, some of whose names are preserved on stone vases from the Third Dynasty step pyramid at Saqqara or in king lists. Among these contenders were Peripsen, who took the title of Seth instead of Horus, and Horus Khasekhem, known only from Kamel Almar, who used the epithet effective sandal against evil. The last ruler of the dynasty combined the Horus and Seth titles to become Horus and Seth Khasekhemwe, arising in respect of the two powers. With the additional phrase "the two lords are at peace in him." Khasekhemwe was likely the same person as Khasekhem after defeating his rivals, primarily Peripsen. Both Peripsen and Khasekhemwe had tombs at Abydos, and the latter also constructed a monumental brick funerary enclosure near the cultivation. The Third Dynasty circa 2650 circa 2575 BCE had kinship links with Khasekhemwe, but the transition between them saw a definitive shift of the royal burial place to Memphis. The first king of the Third Dynasty, Sanecht, is attested in reliefs from Maghara and Sinai. His successor, Djoser as Horus named Netjereket, was a significant ruler plus built the step pyramid at Saqqara. This pyramid marked the culmination of an epoch and served as the precursor to later achievements as the first large all-stone building, surpassing anything attempted before. Djoser's pyramid was set in a larger enclosure compared to Khasekhemwe's at Abydos and featured reproductions in stone of previously perishable ritual structures. The architectural details served as models for later development, and the masonry techniques looked to brickwork for inspiration, with little concern for the structural potential of stone. The pyramid evolved through various stages from a flat mastaba into a six-stepped, almost square pyramid. Another symbolic tomb with a flat superstructure was also present at the south side of the enclosure, possibly substituting the traditional royal burial place of Abydos. Djoser and some members of his family were buried deep under the pyramid, where tens of thousands of stone bases were deposited, some bearing inscriptions from the first two dynasties. Djoser's use of earlier forms in stone while burying this material invoked the past to support his innovations. Imhotep, whose title as a master sculptor is preserved from the step pyramid complex, is believed to have been its architect and lived into the next reign. Imhotep, the architect of the step pyramid of Djoser, attained full deity status only after the Persian conquest of Egypt in 525 BCE. At that time, he gained fame and was deified as a god of healing during the late period. Nefertum in the prestigious Triad of Memphis, which also included his mythological parents, Ptah, the creator of the universe, and Sekhmet, the goddess of war and pestilence. Djoser's successor, Sekhemkhet, planned a grander step pyramid complex at Saqqara, while Kabah, another king of the dynasty, began one at Zawyat el-Aryan, south of Giza. The burial place of the last king of the dynasty, Huni, remains unknown, but it has been suggested that he built the Pyramid of Medum, which probably was the work of his successor, Sunfru. The Third Dynasty king's inscribed material is known from Megara to Elephantine, but not from the Middle East or Nubia. The Third Dynasty also displayed organizational achievements through its principal monument, conveying a message of centralization and concentration of power. However, the archaeological record beyond the vicinity of Memphis reflects little evidence of significant sites, leaving the Abydos area to continue its importance. Four enormous tombs, likely belonging to high officials, were built at the nearby site of Beit Khalif, and small, non-mortuary step pyramids were found throughout the country, possibly dating to the Fourth Dynasty. Little evidence of wealth comes from the provinces, as resources likely flowed to the center, leading to an absence of a rich local elite. The rigid structure of the later nomes, or provinces, which formed the basis of Old Kingdom administration, had been created during the Third Dynasty, potentially contributing to the collapse of local centers. The elite tombs at Saqqara, including those of Hazire and Kabah-Sokar, contained artistic masterpieces foreshadowing the Old Kingdom. The first intermediate period, circa 2130 to 1938 BCE, marked significant periods in Egyptian history. The Old Kingdom circa 2575 circa 2130 BCE and the Fourth Dynasty circa 2575 circa 2465 BCE was a remarkable era of unparalleled construction, with its first king, Sunfru, building the first true pyramid by modifying the step pyramid of Medum. He also worked on the small step pyramid of Sayla in Al-Fayoum. Ancient Kemet, Kush, Indus Kush, Punt, cosmology were in the cooperative cosmology of life and nature. Therefore, all art at that time were coupled up, so to say, in a big way. Sunfru constructed two pyramids at Dashur, one known as the blunted pyramid due to its shallower angle of inclination. Apart from the colossal pyramids themselves, the temple complexes attached to them in the Fourth Dynasty display great mastery of architectural forms. Khufu's temple and approach causeway featured impressive reliefs, some of which were later incorporated into the 12th Dynasty pyramid of Amenemhat I at Al-Lisht. The iconic Khafre's Great Sphinx at Giza and his extraordinary seated statue made of Nubian gneiss both date from the middle of the Fourth Dynasty. The Giza pyramids, forming a group of more or less completed monuments, were surrounded by many tombs of the royal family and the elite, laid out in organized patterns. This arrangement contrasted with the reign of Sunfru, during which important tombs were constructed at Medum and Saqqara, while the king was likely buried at Dashur. Only the highest-ranking officials' tombs at Giza were decorated, and the freedom of expression was limited, except among the immediate entourage of the kings. Despite the concentration of power centennials and millenniums, in other words, the hands of time factional strife occurred. The complex of Regedif was deliberately destroyed, probably by Khafre, his successor. The Palermo stone records a campaign to lower Nubia during Sunfru's reign, potentially connected to graffiti found in the area. The Egyptians established a settlement at Buin, at the north end of the Second Cataract, which lasted for 200 years, and other settlements may have been founded between there and Elephantine. The purpose of this penetration was likely to expand trade farther south and create a buffer zone. The Nile River serves as the primary lifeline for ancient Kemet renamed Egypt and Nubia. Its current path, dating back at least 25,000 years, plays a crucial role in shaping the region's topography. The yearly flood of the Nile is caused by late summer rains in the plateau region of Ethiopia, which in turn swell the tributaries of the Nile. Snofru, first king of the Fouth dynasty of PreDynastic Kemet. The builders of the Giza pyramids became symbols of a classic age in later times. Snofru was seen as the prototype of a good king, while Khufu and Khafra acquired reputations as tyrants, perhaps due to the size of their monuments. Nonetheless, numerous great works of art were produced for kings and the elite, setting a pattern for future art. Kings of the Fourth Dynasty identified themselves as sons of Re, the sun god, and the worship of the sun god reached its peak in the Fifth Dynasty. The Fifth Dynasty circa 2465 circa 2325 BCE saw the reign of Userkaf, Sihir, Neferukar, and other kings. Userkaf and Sihir were sons of Khentkuz, a member of the Fourth Dynasty royal family. The devotion to the sun god by the kings was evident as they built personal temples to his cult, which likely held a mortuary significance for the king while honoring the god. Pyramids have been identified for 7 of the 9 kings of the dynasty, and although they were smaller and less solidly constructed than those of the Fourth Dynasty, the reliefs from their mortuary temples were of very fine quality. These reliefs depicted cosmologic scenes related to the pharaoh and nations' provision in the afterlife and their historical role and relations with the gods. Foreign connections during this period were far-reaching, with evidence of trade with Anatolia, Syria, and Punt. High officials of the Fifth Dynasty were no longer members of the royal family, but their offices still depended on the king. They progressed through their careers by acquiring titles in complex rank sequences, which were manipulated by kings throughout the Fifth and Sixth Dynasties. Elite tombs were no longer clustered as closely around pyramids, and some officials began building their tombs in the Nile Valley and the Delta, indicating the elite's growing independence from royal control. Papyri from the mortuary temples of Neferkar and Reneferfet Abu Sir provide insights into the workings of the central administration, showing well-developed methods of accounting and record-keeping for goods and materials. However, the consumption of papyrus was modest compared to later times. Part 3 Symbolism and Energy of Nekbat, the snake of the ether's cold dry energy. In the realm of the Neteru, such as Kemetic, Nekhibat, Rihu, Yoruba, Oya, Indus Kush, Rahu, each netter has its significance in the form of masculine and feminine energies and powers. Nekhibat, when combined with other netters, represents the achievement, safeguarding, and more. This achievement occurs through the cold ethereal influences related to the domains governed by the respective rulers of the adjourning energies, or deities, or gods of the Greek pantheon, or saints, or the pantheon of angels. Egyptologists refer to Dynasty 03200 to 3000 BCE as a collection of Egyptian rulers who do not appear on the Manethos list. The last 3 kings of the dynasty, Menkaure, Charizizi, and Yunus, did not have personal names compounded with Rai, the name of the sun god. Shkar is a name assumed on accession, and Azizi and Yunus did not build solar temples. This indicates a slight shift away from the solar cult, possibly linked with the rise of Osiris, the god of the dead, who is first attested from the reign of Nusir. Osiris' origin, however, probably predates this period by several centuries. Yunus Pyramid, richly decorated with historical and religious scenes, is inscribed inside with spells intended to aid the deceased in the afterlife. These spells, known as the pyramid texts, occur in all later Old Kingdom pyramids and reflect the increasing use of writing rather than a change in beliefs. They highlight the importance of Osiris, particularly for the king's journey into the next world, requiring elaborate rituals and spells to ensure a successful passage. The 6th dynasty circa 2325 circa 2150 BCE shows no marked change between the reigns of Unas and Teti, the first king of the dynasty. Teti's pyramid at the northern portion of Saqqara was surrounded by a cemetery of large tombs, including those of several viziers, making it the latest group of private monuments in the Memphite area. Information on 6th dynasty political and external affairs is more abundant due to longer inscriptions of high officials. Winnie, for example, served from the reign of Teti through those of Pepi I and Mariner. He acted as a special judge in the trial of a conspiracy in the royal household, led campaigns against regions east of Egypt or in southern Palestine, and organized quarrying expeditions. 3 biographies of officials from Elephantine record trading expeditions to the south during the reigns of Pepi I and Pepi II, possibly reaching as far as the Butana south of the Fifth Cataract. Some trade routes ran through the western desert, where the Egyptians established an administrative post at the Lot in Al-Dakaila oasis. Egypt no longer controlled Lower Nubia, which was settled by the Sea group and formed into political units stretching possibly as far as Kerma, south of the Third Cataract. Kerma became Egypt's chief southern neighbor for 7 centuries. The provincializing tendencies of the late 5th dynasty continued in the 6th, especially during the long reign of Pepi II. Pepi II's pyramid complex at southern Saqqara, completed in the first 30 years of his reign, stands out as the last major monument of the Old Kingdom, comparable to its predecessors in artistic achievement. His queens were buried in small pyramids around his own, with these being the only known queens' monuments inscribed with pyramid texts. After Pepi II, several ephemeral rulers followed, leading to the short-lived 7th dynasty and then the 8th dynasty, where one king, Ebi, built a small pyramid at southern Saqqara. With the end of the 8th dynasty, the Old Kingdom system of control collapsed, leading to incidents of famine and local violence. The country emerged impoverished and decentralized, and this episode may have been caused by political failure, environmental disaster, or a combination of the two. During this period, desiccation in northeastern Africa reached a peak, resulting in conditions similar to contemporary times: constant war. Invasions along with numerous successions, partnered with low Nile flooding. Creating a crisis as the Nile's inundations upon the land is critical for its vibrant societies. Time moving upon itself, invasions, successions, and multiple wars collided upon the ancients as Greece then Rome impacted upon and began its efforts to be the new heroes, the god and primary archetype. From the 2nd to the 6th they reigned. Kemet, Kush, Indus Kush Punt, splendor, forever ingrained. The Old Kingdom's rise and fall. A timeless tale, told to all. In museums, plundered pyramids and tombs they sleep. Their secrets buried, secrets keep. The grandeur of their ancient past. A legacy that will forever last. Though empires rise and empires wane. In sands of time, their spirits dwell. Their memory in our hearts remain. A captivating cosmology to tell. So let us cherish these ancient land. Honor those who took their stand. The pharaohs and their glorious sway. We recall Kemet's mythology and cosmology as Indus Kush's mythology and cosmology, as Egypt's mythology and Roman mythology and cosmology. The winds of time, forever to stay centennial and millenniums. Much appreciation to you for giving of your time with us at Motivation at Hand. To know is to know how. We trust you will come back soon.